Hold on. Okay. Go.
Hi, Naz, Media Productions. I'm Rusty. My friends Beth and Mike and Paul are helping me out tonight. This is a mock-up of the sculpture that we discussed. This is about 3 feet tall. It's made of steel. We discussed the advantages of going to steel over wood. I think they're obvious in that we've got a structure that can be taken apart, put back together repeatedly. It can be used over and over again. The fuel that we're using is LPG, liquid petroleum gas, which is safer, and the steel itself, of course, that is allowing that's emitting the LPG. This can be repaired readily by anyone with welding equipment, or by myself with welding equipment, which I can get access to in any city in Canada. The steel's robust, it's durable, it is not going to be damaged by the flame in any way. It's not particularly susceptible to fatigue, it's easy to inspect. The fuel itself, LPG, will have an arrangement, generally similar to this, where you have an on-off valve. This has a reverse flow check valve, and that will be incorporated into the overall design. We'll be using a number of tanks like this. That will also allow me to take each region of the sculpture and control it independently, so that one leg is on one tank, this is on another, this is on another. So when I light this up, what you'll notice is that the flame is going to be a bit heavier through here, a bit lighter through here, really light through here. In practice, what I've found is that one of the more difficult things is actually getting the sculpture to balance so that I have flame everywhere that I want it. Once I turn it on, I'm going to point to the areas that have the effect that I'm looking for, and then run it through a couple of different flame levels. In terms of proximity to the sculpture, which is sort of a safety question, the flames themselves are quite stable. The level at which they're displaying is repeatable. In other words, I can set it to a certain height, to a certain consistency, and then maintain that. Increase it or decrease it at will. And when the sculpture is to be extinguished, it can be done in such a way that it turns off slowly or quickly. If we wanted to turn it off instantaneously for some reason, whether that's safety or dramatic effect, the lines could be filled with argon or any other noble, non-flammable, non-reactive gas. Compressed air would work in a pinch too, but a little differently. So this is scalable. It should be fairly easy to see that even from this small mock-up, in that this barbecue grill size tank is enough to fill this more than we're really going to use. So in a 20-foot sculpture, really we're just scaling up the size of the propane that's available to it. The joints are going to be located here, here, at every major region, and basically they can be put anywhere for convenience. In other words, if this proves to be a workable section, like the easiest way to carry and transport it and then assemble it, then I'll put the joint here. Otherwise, if a longer section is desirable, that's easy to obtain too. So now, Paul, could you get the lights for us, please? Thanks. I wouldn't normally light this with a match, but all my hand torches are gone. Okay, so just for the demo, I'm going to turn the gas up for just a second so that I get some flame through here. I should get a little bit of an effect like that over here. In practice, when this is built, what will happen is there will be another oval in the other axis, and that will repeat, so that probably I'll have a radial frame of about 8 sections like this. I have perfect control over the shape and form. In other words, this is more to illustrate what can be done with the flame than the sculpture itself. Okay, so here's a bit more. I don't think we're really going to get this dramatic, but it does give you an idea. What I want you to look at is this region through here, right? I'm not being stupid. The flame is very stable indoors. I would expect roughly similar results outdoors. I can keep it stable up to about 30 miles an hour ambient wind. With practice, a little bit higher than that, but certainly it's not going to blow out. In effect, really all that happens when there's a lot of wind is the flames will just lean over, which can be nice too. So I'm going to bring it up and down through a couple of different setups so that you can see. Blue flame doesn't show up very well in the visible spectrum, so you don't actually get the color that you do off of a yellow flame. This is a nice effect where the manifold is actually pointing the flame downward, and I'll be utilizing that throughout the sculpture. You can see some cascades kind of coming backwards off that leg. Right now there's only 2 planes. I have them like this. I can also put make the manifold so that it's projecting outward to get that effect as well. Okay, so I'm going to bring it up a little bit, down. I'm just trying to illustrate control here. And this is a really simple setup, but it's analogous to the controls that we would eventually be using. Now, turned off, the gas is going to drain through the system. It's going to be consumed at source until it falls out of balance with available oxygen. Now, the highest point, or wherever the flame is burning, it tends to suck all the available fuel to that region. So sometimes you'll see that when it's turning out, it'll all kind of trickle to one region or another. Yeah, I think that's basically a reasonable walkthrough of what we'd expect to see. Again, at 25 or 30 feet, you would see about exactly the same thing. We would just be using a lot more, I'd actually have probably a lot better illustrative control over what the flame is doing. So, thank you, Naz, Media Productions. Thanks, Mike, Beth, Paul. All right.